After World War I ended in 1914, it was called the War to End All Wars because it was so devastating that countless countries around the world wanted to stop anything like it from happening ever again. Of course, just 35 years later, World War II broke out, killing even more people than the first. It's been over 70 years now since that war ended. In that time, many people have speculated if another global war will happen again. Sometimes it has seemed worryingly close to becoming a reality. My name is Danny Burke, and will there be a World War III? Despite an improvement in relations, there is still an ideological divide in the world. The United States and her allies stand on one side, facing off against the likes of China and Russia. Of course, this has not always been a direct military affair. These nations and their allies have clashed economically, with spies, or even through smaller proxy wars in other countries, most notably Korea, Vietnam, and the Indochina Wars. But since the end of World War II, these countries have never clashed outright, never fought a major war. Why is this? Well, many people attribute this to nuclear weapons. These devastating tools of war, developed at the end of the last World War, can level cities and kill hundreds of thousands of people in an instant. Now, you might think the most powerful weapons of war would encourage more war, but paradoxically, they seem to have prevented them. There are an estimated 15,000 nuclear weapons on the planet, all owned by 9 countries: China, India, Israel, France, the UK, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, and the United States. Those last 2 countries are thought to possess 93% of them, far outweighing the other countries combined. The fact that the US and Russia have so many has actually stopped either one from ever hitting the big red button and launching a first strike, no matter how bad the political tensions have got over the years. They, and everyone else, knows that this would be a death wish. As soon as one nation sees incoming nuclear missiles, they would then fire their own, killing millions on either side. This is called mutually assured destruction, and despite its morbid undertone, it's done quite a good job of preventing a nuclear war from ever happening. But that doesn't mean it will always be this way. Recent events have got people talking about the possibility of World War III in a very real way. There are 3 main sparks on Earth right now that could engulf the world in the flames of another world war. The first is a European-Russian front. When the Soviet Union fell in 1991, a swathe of Eastern European countries gained independence from the new Russian state. But some experts said they still fell well within the Russian sphere of influence, and that their government still feared the Kremlin watching their every move. These fears came to the surface in 2008 when Russian forces occupied parts of Georgia. Then in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from the Ukraine. This caused international outrage from world leaders and led to a number of sanctions against Russia. Pro-Russian supporters have argued the legality of these cases and said that the expansion of NATO has threatened Russia in recent decades. When sanctions, words, and legal arguments are all exhausted, some worry that war may be the next course of action from both sides. Then there is the Middle East. It may not come as a surprise that one of the most war-torn areas in recent memory may be the catalyst for another world war. The wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria have left the area divided, with millions of people displaced and hundreds of thousands dead. People are divided among ethnic and religious lines in the form of Shia and Sunni Muslims. Evidence has come to light in recent years of nations such as Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others funding Sunni insurgent groups in an attempt to overthrow the Assad regime in Syria, while Russia and Iran are trying to support him. This funding and arming of insurgent groups is something Western countries have been doing for years. Many countries are heavily invested in the area, and experts fear that putting troops on the ground could be a clash that spills out globally. Finally, there is Asia. China and the US have been huge trading partners with one another, but behind closed doors, a war of words has been brewing. Japan, backed by the US, has had a worsening relationship with China. There have also been repeated standoffs in the South China Sea as China tries to increase its military influence by bulking its navy in the area, with a number of smaller Asian countries feeling threatened. Then, of course, there is the Chinese-backed North Korea. Although North Korea has been shut out from global politics, it still has a somewhat reluctant friend in the form of China. In recent years, North Korea's threats to bomb and invade South Korea, Japan, and even the US have people fearing that if they do carry out these threats and countries retaliate, they will have China to answer to. A China that is arguably economically stronger than the US already, and its military grows stronger by the day. It's a sad truth that since the end of World War II, World War III has always been a possibility. Global politics is a messy and often unpredictable affair. Sometimes wars that look certain fizzle out into decades of peace, and other times war consumes nations who never saw it coming. The prospect of mutually assured destruction still gives some people hope that a nuclear war between major powers will stay at bay, as it has done for over 70 years. Let us hope that this stays true and the world does not descend into madness for a third time, because, as Albert Einstein once famously said, "I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." My name is Danny Burke, and you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions.